Mercedes just dropped its official 2025 financial report, and for the investment world, it landed like a cold shower. Net profit slid to 5.3 billion euros, nearly a 49% collapse versus 2024. EBIT sank even harder, down 57% to 5.8 billion euros, while turnover shrank 9% to 132 billion euros. In other words, this isn't a minor correction, it's a full-blown crisis, and it didn't happen for one single reason. It's a stacked chain of problems that aligned into a perfect storm for Germany's premium heavyweight. Roughly 1 billion euros was wiped out by customs duties introduced under Donald Trump's administration. Mercedes-Benz Group board chair Ola Kalanius tried to keep the tone upbeat publicly, but the spreadsheet doesn't care about optimism. This is shaping up to be one of the roughest stretches in the company's modern era. A stronger euro and a consumer shift toward cheaper models hit the group with almost 6 billion euros in extra costs, and currency swings piled on another 1.5 billion euros. The real punch to the ribs, though, came from China, once the growth machine that basically carried premium brands on its back. You're watching Speed Logic. Smash like, subscribe, and let's move. In 2025, Mercedes delivered 2,160,000 passenger cars and vans, but China dragged the whole picture down. Sales there dropped 19%, turning into one of the main triggers behind the profit dive. And it's not just down, it's historic. Mercedes' China volume fell to its lowest point since 2016. To stop the bleeding, the company rolled out a massive efficiency push and squeezed out more than 3.5 billion euros in savings, but a big chunk got eaten by social costs. Severance packages in the passenger car business alone ran about 1.2 billion euros. Nobody is promising a quick demand rebound in the next few years, so the tone going forward is ostorожный. In 2026, Mercedes expects revenue to stay roughly flat versus 2025, while betting on a meaningful improvement in operating profit. Longer term, the target is to stabilize passenger car sales at around 2 million units annually, which, given the current reality, would already be a respectable outcome. The Mercedes slump isn't happening in isolation. It's a symptom of a bigger reset across the entire auto industry. The age when German premium brands could dominate by default is fading out. Chinese automakers aren't approaching anymore, they're already taking real market share with tech-heavy cars priced aggressively. Mercedes is at a make-or-break point. It has to survive the financial pressure now and also rewrite its strategy for a world where the old German trump cards, quality, reliability, prestige, don't automatically guarantee leadership. And honestly, are those trump cards still as untouchable as they used to be? The best-case scenario is that a refreshed lineup plus tough production optimization decisions help Mercedes find growth again and keep its seat in the global automotive pecking order.
Audi is pushing hard on a new flagship crossover called the E7X, and that name already tells you the whole story. This car is made for China, under a China-specific Audi sub-brand with its own rules and its own identity. The development pace is aggressive. In just a few months, it went from a concept reveal to real winter testing, and the production car stays almost one-to-one with the SUV concept Audi showed in November in Guangzhou. Think of it as a lifted, crossover version of a 5-door Sportback. Same idea, just taller and more imposing. The purple paint against snow is loud and deliberate, and it's miles away from the conservative Audi look Europe is used to. The front end leans heavily into the China tech flagship vibe, an illuminated Audi emblem tied to the sub-brand, plus a full-width, intricately patterned LED signature that reads like a digital billboard. This isn't a solo project either. E7X is being built with SAIC, and in the neon-heavy megacities of China, that kind of visual presence is exactly the point. But the real message is on the roof. There's a LiDAR unit up top, similar to what we've seen on the E5 Sportback, which is Audi basically saying, we're serious about autonomy. Digital mirrors are on the table too, but they're optional. Traditional mirrors remain standard, something China's industry ministry confirmed back in December. The rear doubles down on the light show concept, a red glowing logo surrounded by LED taillights that spill onto the tailgate, plus a split roof spoiler that Audi claims isn't just styling, it's also there for aero. On paper, the performance numbers look properly flagship. The entry version is rear motor with 402 horsepower, and the dual motor AWD setup jumps to 671 horsepower total. Battery choices are 100 or 109 kilowatt hours, both built on an 800-volt platform, so fast charging is part of the package. Range varies by configuration and wheel size, from 615 kilometers up to 751 kilometers, but keep in mind those are figures from the more optimistic Chinese test cycle. Size-wise, the final car is a bit smaller and lower than the concept, yet the silhouette and proportions stayed intact. It lands in the mid-size premium crossover segment, which, in China, is basically a battlefield. Inside, the direction is expected to mirror the E5 Sportback. Clean minimalism, a massive emphasis on screens and digital features, and premium materials where it matters. Exactly what this market rewards. And that's the bigger point. E7X isn't just another Audi, it's a strategic move. China's EV market is moving insanely fast, and domestic brands have already raised the bar across tech, design, and price. By launching a separate sub-brand and building models specifically for China, Audi is admitting a hard truth. You can't just import a Western lineup and expect it to work anymore. You have to tailor the product to the market from the ground up. Pricing and the remaining details should drop soon, but the meaning of E7X is already clear. It's Audi's test to see if a traditional European premium brand can fight Chinese EV giants on equal terms, right in their own backyard.
The American auto giant Ford is reviving the legendary Fiesta for the European market, and this comeback is planned for 2028. But there's a bittersweet twist to the story. To match today's trends, the famous hatchback will return as a fully electric model. The green light for this revival became possible thanks to a strategic partnership with the Renault-Nissan-Mitsubishi Alliance, signed back in February of last year. That agreement directly shaped the Fiesta's future, because the next chapter for the nameplate will be built on Renault's French Amp R small platform, which has already established itself in the Renault 5, Renault 4, Alpine A290, and the upcoming Nissan Micra and Renault Twingo. Ford will gain access to modern EV tech, but it plans to keep its own styling and the signature driving feel that has always separated Ford from the pack. Just to remind you, the Fiesta earned the love of millions over more than 40 years of European production. Yet in 2023, Ford made a tough call to stop building it, as crossovers kept gaining popularity and electrification demanded huge investment. Ending production caused a real wave of frustration among loyal fans, many of whom grew up with this car as their first and favorite. Now the model is returning, and this is what it's expected to bring on the technical side. With the Renault 5 platform as its base, the new Ford will likely offer batteries from 40 to 52 kilowatt hours, with up to 405 kilometers of WLTP range. The flagship version should get a single electric motor producing 148 horsepower, and it's expected to hit 100 kilometers per hour in about 8 seconds. That performance is very much in line with the personality of earlier Fiesta generations. Production is set to take place at Renault's Electric City facility in northern France. The partnership is designed as a win-win. Ford avoids the cost of developing a new EV platform from scratch, while Renault fills its factories with extra workload. A similar setup is already being used with the Twingo, where Renault covers manufacturing and Ford is preparing its own take on the small city car. Price will be the decisive factor for whether this plan works. Ford of Europe chief Martin Sanders says affordability will be the new Fiesta's strongest weapon. Ford wants to pull in buyers across multiple segments, small cars, crossovers, and even commercial vehicles by delivering a genuinely mass-market EV under the blue oval. And a performance ST version should be part of the story too. Since Renault already offers the Alpine A290 with 217 horsepower, a charged-up Fiesta ST feels like the obvious next move. It would also fit perfectly into Ford's broader push for high-performance versions, from the Mustang GT-D to the Ranger Raptor. The Fiesta's return signals a new phase for Ford, moving from classic combustion to the electric era, while trying to preserve the traits that made the Fiesta loved by millions of drivers around the world. Now we wait to see how the market responds. Hope you enjoyed today's episode. To keep up with new videos, subscribe to the channel and drop your thoughts on the latest auto releases in the comments. The next video is already on the way. See you soon.